Jill!
Barry? Thank God you're safe.
You too, Jill. A noise I heard brought me down here, but I didn't expect to find a place like this. Have any idea as to what might be at the bottom?
There's only one way to find out.
Resident Evil.
Everybody was pretty surprised a while back when Capcom came out and announced that the Resident Evil franchise would be released exclusively for the Gamecube for the foreseeable future. But everyone was even more surprised when they realized that the first game to signify the deal would be a remake of the original Resident Evil. Now, Capcom has went on record saying that 70% of the game was going to be changed, and that they switched around the items and the enemies. And now that I've played through the game, I have to agree. It's definitely been a while since I played the original, but I must say that while I played this game, I really didn't remember a lot of stuff from the first game. So it definitely feels like a new and refreshing experience, which is probably the first thing I should say before getting onto the nuts and bolts. Now, the one thing that hasn't changed about the game is the gameplay. They've made a couple tweaks that make the game a little more fun to play and they give you a little more control, but at the same time, the base gameplay is still the same. You still control your character like a tank. Basically, if you push up, your character always walks forward. If you tap right or left, then they'll rotate around and then they'll spin in that direction. And you know, kind of they took a step forward with Devil May Cry, and you know, a lot of people maybe hope that they do the same thing with Resident Evil, but that's not the case. But the good thing is that they did make sure that all the little improvements that they've made over the years to the control scheme have been included. For instance, the quick turnaround has been added. The ability to shoot while moving backwards has been added. So while it's not as free-roaming as, say, Devil May Cry, at the same time, the control scheme works pretty well for the way the game is laid out. As far as the additions are concerned, probably the biggest addition to the gameplay is the use of defense items. Now, you have two playable characters in the game. You have Jill and Chris. Now, for Jill, she has a taser that she can get and use it as a defense item. And what it is if you're getting overcome by zombies, you can tap the left shoulder button, and all of a sudden, Jill will pull out her taser and she'll tase one of the zombies. And usually, it'll take them down in one shot. And as far as Chris is concerned, his unique defense item is a hand grenade, and what he'll do is he'll take out the hand grenade, he'll stick it in the zombie's mouth, then you pull out your pistol and you shoot it, and it'll obviously blow up the zombie's head. Now, between the two of them, they can also use knives, and basically they don't really kill the zombies, but they come in handy for just getting them off of you so you can get a little bit of space. Now, these little additions make a big difference to the game, and I was really surprised how much strategy it added to the gameplay. The rest of the gameplay has remained basically untouched. You're still going to collect a lot of items, and you're going to have to run from one side of the mansion to the other to figure out where to use them. And you're still going to have to do a lot of box pushing throughout the game, which can definitely grate on the nerves after a while. But I think what it is that this game the whole structure of the game is built around this sort of puzzle element, and that there's really no way for them to just cash it in. So hopefully in the next few games, we'll get to see some changes as far as the gameplay is concerned. I don't know if you've looked at any screenshots or movies of this game already, but this game looks awesome. There's really no way to put it into words. It looks great in screenshots and on videos on the web, but until you see it with your own eyes, you really can't understand how great this game looks. Now, Capcom has went kind of backwards in that they've kind of reinstituted the graphic style that they use, where they have pre-rendered backgrounds with polygonal objects kind of used to accent it. And what it is like most of the backgrounds are pre-rendered, but then all the objects that you interact with are kind of polygonal. For instance, you'll have maybe a tree branch in the foreground that's made out of polygons, and maybe all the grass is made out of polygons. And really, this is done to a startling effect. I really don't know how they pulled it off, but somehow they did. Because it's really cool how the polygonal objects interact with the pre-rendered backgrounds. For instance, a zombie could chomp you, and the blood will splatter all over the pre-rendered wall behind you. I really don't understand how they did it, but I'm glad that they did because it looks awesome. And also the blood in this game you've never seen blood look this real. I mean, a lot of times in games, you know, you'll see blood, it'll look like some fake jelly and it'll hit and bounce. Well, the blood in Resident Evil looks so real. A zombie will bite you, it'll fall on the ground. Instead of splashing around and looking all fake, it hits the ground and starts soaking into the carpet and gradually spreads out. And you can even still see the pattern of the carpet through the blood. Other little details in the game, like for instance, the fact that every blade of grass is individually rendered and they all sway separately from each other. The fact that there's water running through almost every room in the game and it reflects your character when they run by. I still don't know how they pulled that one off either. Right now, I really can't think of another game that looks as good as this game on the Gamecube. And granted, it's not all polygonal, but regardless of the end result, this game just looks flat out amazing. Now, as far as the sound is concerned, it's not it's definitely not as intense or technically proficient as the graphics. They basically just went for a straight up Dolby surround, which means that they unify the two rear channels, but somehow they made the positional sound in this game work great. You can come into a room and just by the sound alone, you can tell where the zombie is in the room. Now, my one complaint with the sound is that the zombies don't have enough different sounds. You hear the same 4 or 5 moans throughout the whole game. And after a while, it starts to get old. I mean, where are the zombies that try to speak English? You know, where are the zombies that, you know, do something besides go, "Whoa." But at the same time, I mean, the audio sounds good, the samples sound great. It sounds like they've brought some of the samples back from the old game, so it sounds good. And as far as footsteps are concerned, I mean, there must be dozens and dozens of different sounds for footsteps. There's a sound for stepping in blood. There's a sound for stepping in blood with guts. There's a sound for stepping on bloody grass. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you can run past the polygonal grass and you can hear it brushing against your character's pants. And it's this little attention to detail that really sets the game off. Overall, I'd have to say that Resident Evil for the Gamecube is awesome. A lot of people who may not have liked the Resident Evil gameplay from before, their opinions aren't going to be changed here, and they probably would do well just to maybe rent the game. But anybody else who's really into maybe gore movies from the 70s, you know, the really great gore flicks like Evil Dead, will love this game. They will absolutely eat it up. So I definitely recommend to buy this game unless you absolutely hate Resident Evil or you hate survival horror games. In that case, I still recommend to rent it.
Chris, this way.